Hello, hope everyone's back from the coffee break. If not, that's even better. I was hoping there are going to be less people. Thank you, Marish, for the opportunity to be here, first of all. And we're here to present the case of Reality Games migration to a new platform. And hopefully our tips and the practices that we're going to share are going to be helpful for you in the future. So round of intros. My name is Asya Stolbina. I'm a customer success manager at AppsFlyer Berlin. And I'm working with a lot of gaming clients. I would think at the moment it's roughly 10 and Reality is one of them. And this is Adam from Reality Games. He's head of analytics. And I was lucky to meet Adam just 2 days ago after all our months working together, having all the calls and meetings. That was another cool thing this event brought. So Adam, tell us a bit more about yourself and about Reality Games, of course.
Yeah. Hi guys, I'm Adam. So thanks for the intro. I'm leading the team of analytics in Reality Games. I have some background in econometrics, like I think majority of the data guys here, and also what might be not hard to guess. I used to play volleyball, and I know. And one more thing to mention, before getting to the point, I know like many pro athletes, and I really appreciate the community that is here because it's like very similar to the pro athlete community because you guys are like competitors, but besides that, you're like sharing the knowledge and you're supporting each other. So besides that, you're competitors, you're like very supportive, and you want to grow the whole discipline, which is gaming in our case. So back to our company. We've started in 2015 with the first game, Lander Tycoon. We're mainly doing geolocation-based games. So currently on the production, we have Lander Tycoon and Lander Go, which are available. We have like four more titles, but those were like side projects, and currently they are not into production. So our main concept is turning the real world into a game board. And you can see the Monopoly board there also here. And that's our like concept. I'm the owner of this building in our game. So you can be also like the co-owners of Google Campus. We have like over 100 million venues in our games. And yeah, we had Lander Tycoon, which is like our like prototype. Then we have right now Lander Go. And finally, we have a license from Hasbro to create a Monopoly game. We will not.
This is where everyone's be like, whoa, Monopoly, wow.
Yeah, that's right. So we want to scale up our business because we are like currently like a mid-sized studio, but with Hasbro and with Monopoly game, we believe that it will be like a great product, and that's why we decided to make a research on the market with our like data providers, also with MMP.
And moving on to the migration topic. Pretending that migrating a SaaS platform, whatever it is, that is easy would be a lie. It's not. It requires a lot of resources, both people resources and in terms of real money. And we know that this decision isn't the one that's taken lightly. So in our session today, we try to do what we can to hopefully make this process easier for you in the future if one day, for one reason or another, you decide to change provider. So we defined 5 biggest migration pain points. These are the ones that we come across more often. Obviously, there will be more, but we wanted to narrow it down. And in the end, there will be a Q&A, of course. If you have specific pain points you want to address, feel free to share them then. And an additional motivation for you, if you have some questions, you get some amazing AppsFlyer socks. So you can see them in practice here. Yeah, so move on to the 5 points that we defined. In no particular order, these are data loss, mapping and app events, costs, both in terms of real money and time, rebuilding dashboards, and learning new workflows. Let's start with data loss. There is no doubt that this is a huge concern for any company. And from your perspective, Adam, how big of a concern it was for you?
Yeah, especially for my team, like data analytics team, data loss is like a huge risk and a huge problem. So we talked it through because currently we're doing many campaigns, mainly with Google Ads, also with Unity Ads and Apple Search Ads. And it's kind of a risk that you will lose your cohorts transferring from one MMP to another. So yeah, we have like campaigns in Google Ads, and then they're attributing to one source, and then they're attributing to another source. And as you guys know, and I remember the recent question about the Firebase data. We don't always have all of the IDs. You know, guys, that we have user IDs, IDFA, IDFV, some install ID from MMP, also customer user ID. So, and sometimes you don't have all of the pieces for the cohorts. So to not bore you and get into the weeds too much, we've combined all of the IDs to make a fingerprint in our BigQuery database to track those guys and track those cohorts up to day 360, because our ROAS are like mainly longer than hyper casual games. So that was the first approach. And the second approach is like a pretty nice feature in AppsFlyer that you can upload all of the IDs, like IDFA, IDFV, everything is in documentation. By the way, you can upload all of those users. You can see here that it was almost like 3 million users. It was like last, I think, 6 months of data for LGO, for Land.Go. And we had like a guarantee that they won't be attributed twice, because one thing that we don't want to pay twice for the same user. And we would like to track him with his whole journey.
Okay, moving on to mapping in-app events. It's definitely one of the big concerns when it comes to gaming clients. And based on the genre or any other factors, they're going to be 1, 5, 10, 100, 300 in-app events, right? In game like Landlord Tycoon, how many in-app events are you measuring?
We're measuring around 100 events with Firebase currently.
So it's fair to say that this was important also in reality games. And let's look at the 2 strategies that we think can help you navigate the mapping in-app events process.
Yeah, so we didn't want to like map all of the events to AppsFlyer at first stage because we wanted just to integrate with AppsFlyer and then check the data if it's valid and how it reflects in comparing to Firebase, our own backend events. And we chosen only 4 at the beginning, like just pure login, which reflects to the session start. Purchase ad view, because we're like monetizing in both like in IAP and ads, like split like 50-50, and the tutorial completion to check how cohorts are like onboarding. And that was a pretty nice outcome, because within a day we were able to manage all of the 4 events and check the data like the next day.
And I would say then you and other clients then would just add more and more events and phases. And yeah, this is how most of them do it. Next up is following the new naming convention. Since people get used to naming conventions in different platforms, if it's an MMP or not, the sooner you get used to a new naming convention, the better. and there definitely there needs to be some internal learning happening. In our case, we have a tool where you can manage this process. So it's basically a bulk mapping and bulk upload of in-app events. And how long did it take for you and for the team, like, to go through this process and to get used to new naming convention?
Like for the first four events, it was pretty straightforward. We just added, like, the naming conversion for those events are like is like pretty straightforward, because we're just adding the prefix AF, and that's it. And with the rest of them, we will add in packages the rest of the events. I know that it will take a couple of days to get used to, but still, when the data is valid, it's worth it.
Amazing. Cost, probably one of the most interesting ones. Let's go back. So the cost is unquestionably the important one, and it's not only the direct costs that migration brings, right? If you pause the campaign even for a day, it might be a big pain, and some teams just simply don't want to move forward with it. In case of reality games, how big of a concern was this delay in business as usual, if you can?
Yeah, it was like a pretty also risky for us and time consuming, not in terms only on the money like that we need to pay, but also risk of losing the cohorts, and also the people cost, which we'll cover in a second.
Exactly. So collaboration part is really crucial. And from my experience, migrations included, it's really important to have more people allocated to the project. So from AppsFlyer side, it's pretty typical to have more than one CSM involved. In this case was me and Yana, who's sitting over there. Woo! One or two solution architects, and account executive is also in the loop because they want to be informed and they want to make sure the process is smooth after the client was onboarded. From the reality games perspective, this is quite a lot of people, so Adam will let you know more about it.
Yeah, guys, it might look like costful, but no worries.
We don't pay them,
it
so
wasn't like that much, because like these two guys were needed only for a few hours to just implement the SDK and check if it's working, and maybe some small fixes. Also, we have like two data analysts, including me. There's like also Ali sitting there with the reporting and validating the data. We've also created a data pipeline, so we needed like a data engineer for like somewhere around like 2 or 3 days to get a push API working, which we'll cover also in a sec. And two UA managers that provided like an insight from them, and to just change the attribution links, and getting used to the new platform. So not scary at all.
Nice. Next up is rebuilding dashboards. So dashboards by their nature is something also a lot of stakeholders within the company are used to. They use them daily or weekly or whatever. So they go there to check performance or whatnot. And the sense of having new dashboard is scary, obviously. So again, you need to educate your team and you need to make sure that all the stakeholders are on the same page. So for your team, did it take long to get used to it, or maybe they still don't use them and I just don't know about it?
I would say I want to say that that everybody use our dashboards, but you know, like it's not true, like all of the dashboards. But yeah, it's kind of like a nice thing to have new way to approach the data. But still, people are getting used to our own dashboard, our old dashboards, and also like previous MP dashboards. So it took some time, like a couple of days, but the metrics within like this industry are quite the same. Like the KPIs are the same. So just the visualization part is a little bit different. New maybe more fancy charts in the console.
And for testing API connections, also something you shouldn't miss. It sounds obvious, but obviously a simple error there can lead to tough consequences. So it's important to test the connections. And for you, how many individual APIs were you using at the beginning?
Yeah, currently we're using mainly push API to our cloud storage in GCP. But we've also tried like data locker and the pull API from AppsFlyer. So it's quite convenient because it saves time for data engineer. It just like push the data to your Google Cloud Storage, and then you can access it every like 2 hours, I think.
And then were you also like running this in parallel? Because I think also one of the things some clients do is that they need some time to make sure the numbers are aligned and so on. Or did you just like switch off and then?
Yeah, we did it in parallel, to be honest. So yeah, that's the approach.
And one of the positive things that actually comes with immigration is that you have a chance to remove dashboard trash. So of course there are thousands or hundreds of dashboards that for some team members created years ago. Either it was a one-time purpose or it was a test. And this is your chance to not spend hours on replicating dashboards that will never ever going to be used. Is it something that you've done? I know it was like crazy number of dashboards.
Yeah, it was like you know, I think the data people will understand me that we have like we got into the trap that we had like 80 plus dashboards. I'm not talking only about the reports like this. The dashboards like are currently like daily updating and so on. Mainly in Data Studio. This is like our analytics console report gallery. It is like our insight portal, which was custom made because Data Studio currently doesn't have like their own gallery. But anyway, we're like mid-sized studio, so around 70 people and 80 plus dashboards. You can imagine that it's not like every one of them are like checked constantly. So that was like one thing to squeeze down the number of the dashboards because some of them were not relevant. But in case of the MMP and the user acquisition perspective, we're like focusing on these metrics that are like mentioned here like many times, like the cohort costs, retention, and mainly ROAS. So in the Data Studio, it's not possible to have like 150 columns with a crazy spreadsheet. I know for like majority of people, it's not readable, but for our UI managers, somehow it is. Because they want to have like all of the numbers in one place. So we had like this schema in our previous MMPs, and we were able to do the same with AppsFlyer. So that are like a sneak peeks, like only from some of our campaigns that you can see. We have the cohort costs. Of course, sorry, not all of the metrics are exposed. Yeah, but still, you can. The point of the slide is mainly like to show what we are looking for, and we're like looking to up to day 360 ROAS because we're not, as mentioned, we're not hyper casual. We have to wait more time to be a cash flow positive when it comes to user acquisition campaigns. So that was the example of Landlord Tycoon and the Landlord Go slide, which you probably also sort of saw yesterday in Łukasz presentation. Same approach. And it's like updated 3 times or twice per day, I think, which is quite nice because our UI managers can adjust the campaigns and increase the budget or kill the campaign if it's like underperforming. So that's kind of where we are with the dashboards.
Great. Then learning new workflows. Each tools are different, both visually and in terms of functionality. So that's probably the third time I say it's like internal learning and like us educating the clients about how to use dashboards, which workflows are there. And yeah, how did your team tackle this?
Like I won't say that they were like super happy because we get used to the tool like for several months, but we had some internal meetings, also meetings with Asya and the
We're
product
getting there.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please continue.
Okay, so yeah, first of all, what we normally do is we direct clients to our knowledge base and as well as Dev Hub, which is separate knowledge base specifically designed for developers. We also have some specific checklists when it comes to migration and onboarding. And Adam knows all of my crazy spreadsheets and like to-do lists, when it comes to migration. We have a repository of short learning videos as well as recorded webinars and tutorials and all kinds of materials to basically support client with some yeah with with their learning. And in your case, honestly, which ones did you actually use?
Like honestly, like honestly, the
Nothing.
most important were like what?
It's like nothing, just like let's have a call, tell me how it works.
Yeah, that was the that was the main knowledge source. I remember even like when I had like a delayed flight and our like plane were like waiting for the slot. Then we had a call in the plane and sorted some things out. So that was the main knowledge base standing here. But also the Dev Hub is quite nice because you have like or the meetings recorded and so on. So you can always come back to the meetings and the tutorials. So that's the approach that we had.
Yeah, exactly. So unplanned meetings are as important because sometimes you really need to sort something ad hoc, especially if there is a deadline that comes with a migration. And this is just a sneak peek of what we had. So it was mostly me and Adam. Lukas was joining some calls. Hello. Yeah, and moving on, this is basically where we are at now. Everything's completed. Yay. Um, you. Yeah, so this was our vision, like how we approach the migration in reality's case. We hope that these 5 points were helpful for you. And before we get into Q&A, I wanted to ask Adam to give us a short sneak peek in what's next for reality.
Yeah, so for reality, we have a few things to do next. Once we're like fully integrated, we would like to tackle a few things at first. So finally, we have like our own creative motion designers in-house like team who will be making creatives. So we have more space to optimize our creatives and do like more analysis on the creative level. And the second thing, which is quite nice, also to easily integrate new networks. So currently, as mentioned, we're using Google Ads and also Unity Ads other, but we still want to diversify our networks. So we'll see how it goes. And the last point, we're using Google Ads ROAS campaigns quite heavily in our products. And with AppsFlyer, we are able to do the same with Unity Ads. They have like pretty nice tool to do that. We're basically like pushing all of the ad revenue information to Iron Source. So we'll be running ad ROAS campaigns in a few weeks from now, and we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed for nice ROAS on that side.
Nice. And now the Q&A time. Ooh, socks are coming your way. If the question is good. If not, bottle opener. I'm joking, like we used them yesterday. I know some people took it, so cool.
Hi guys, I was curious, you've been talking about migration from one to another or from nothing to something in terms of MMB. So what was the previous solution and what was the added value for AppsFlyer? I'm sorry, Anna, I love you.
Okay, so I expected that question. That was the first one. Like we had like a few MMPs connected, like the majority or like the main ones. I don't want to say names and so on. Don't blame anyone. But yeah, we had like at least three MMPs back in the day. And we were like a bit struggling with connecting the data, so we decided to give it a try with AppsFlyer. So, and we can chat.
Okay.
After the meeting.
I'll catch you later. Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question, if there is. Okay.
What data you're like principally missed in your previous tool? You know, what was the main advantage of using AppsFlyer?
Yeah. Okay. So mainly on the iOS part, the revenue was a bit like over-recorded. So we weren't sure that that the cohorts in the MMP solution were looking too good, and it was like around like 25-ish% difference. So then we decided to change it.
Creative.
Okay, so thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
See you around.